Hi, thank you for clicking. My name is Chris. This is the Authority on Zero. Rather, I am the Authority on Zero. So, with that being said, I want to take a moment to talk about me and who I am and why in the hell is this guy from Northwest Indiana making a YouTube video? Well, because everybody and their mom does. So, that's why. Also, at one point in my life, back in 2010, I became a life coach. I went through all these other schools and took all these other courses in life coaching and just wanted to be one of the best. And I never did anything with it. I had a practice for, call it like 6 months. And it's not that it wasn't for me. It is for me. In fact, I really love doing it. I love helping people. Actually, I need to rephrase that. I'm not helping anybody. I'm helping people help themselves. They're doing the work. They're taking the accountability. I'm just having the conversations. But I still love having those conversations. I think that's what I was meant to do in life, is have conversations. With that being said, I was also going to be a pastor at one point in my life because, again, I think I was meant to, have conversations. But for whatever reason, that didn't pan out. And it's because my faith changed. I didn't enjoy being a part of the church on the back end of it. It felt very sleazeball-esque, sleazy, How do we make Christianity a business? How do we make Jesus sexy? How do we get younger people to come into church? And I get it. It is a business or whatever, but I don't feel that Jesus would have been too into that. So it really just set my par for the course, and it kind of made my faith go into a completely different direction, and everything I do is all spiritual based. Everything I do, my relationships, my friendships, all of them, they're all based on, spirituality, and it's all based on me being inspired by them. And that means being in spirit, with them. Now, that doesn't mean that it's a religious thing, because it's not. That doesn't mean that it's a biblical thing, because it's not. It's just two souls connecting. At the end of the day, I believe that we are a soul trapped inside of a chemical. Actually, I'm not even going to use the word trap because it sounds so negative, right? I am a soul experiencing a spiritual experience inside a chemical body. That's what it's all about, right? There's no Abrahamic message here or anything like that. Well, sometimes, it could have some Abrahamic messages and things of that nature, but for the most part, it's talking about, just being a soul, being a spirit, being conscious, and understanding the responsibilities that come with that, understanding the problems that come with that, understanding that, we got to have a little grace, we got to have a little hope, a little kindness, because if we don't have those things, it's going to be a very miserable experience, and joyfulness, right? It's funny because that word has been so large and relevant in my life lately, the word joyfulness. It's funny because I've always confused that word with happiness, right? And even today, I went to a funeral of this lovely older woman who was my neighbor. She was just the best. And at her, at funeral, obviously they're preaching and they're talking, don't confuse joyfulness with happiness, right? Because happiness is a feeling. Happiness is an energy. And when we pursue happiness, it's so fucking draining. Let's just be honest with it. Anytime we start to look for happiness, usually we're looking for something external. Even if we're looking for something internal, it's just so terribly draining. Happiness is a feeling, and it's an energy, and it's fleeting, it's momentary, and it comes and goes in waves, and it's beautiful, right? But it's no different than anger. It's no different than lust or passion. It's going to be there. It's going to fleet, and then eventually it'll return to you, right? Everything comes down the stream. However, joyfulness, right? That is something that we can pursue. We can pursue joyfulness because we can pursue life. We can pursue the things that make us feel alive, right? For some people, that is working out. For some people, that is reading. For some people, that is sitting in nature. For some people, it could be just a platitude of things, right? It could be a plethora of things. I actually used the word platitude wrong, I believe, and I apologize. But plethora of things, for sure. And with that being said, it's just, it's like life is this great, big, delicious buffet, right? And this is a terrible analogy for me to make because I hate buffets personally. I think they're pig troughs for humans. But when we look at it as if a family style, right, buffet where you sit at a table and they bring all these things to you and they serve you that way, well, that makes it a little bit more palatable, right, than going up to the pig trough where everyone's had their hand. And I apologize if you love buffets. I think they're fucking atrocious, but that's just me. And I apologize for being so outspoken on buffets and having nothing to do with the conversation I'm trying to have. Which I don't even know. Now I can't even remember if I've even talked about what I want to talk about, which is attachment styles. But anyway, we'll get back to that, right? Because we're talking about whatever we were talking about. Oh, God. This is my neurodivergent ADHD brain. But anyway, so the pursuit of joyfulness, it's a very beautiful thing, right? Because that doesn't hurt. Because joy is not an energy, it's a lifestyle. Being joyful, being knowledgeable, right? It's like being knowledgeable, right? In what you do. And taking pride, in what you do. So being joyful is a beautiful thing, but trying to be happy all the time is just so fucking miserable and inauthentic, right? And I've been at an age, right, where I am just I'm pursuing authenticity over everything else in the world. My number one goal before I die is to be as authentic as possible. Because if I'm authentic as possible, that means that the love that I seek is going to find me, which it has. It means that the goals that I try to pursue are going to find me, and I have so many more goals. So authentic living is so beautiful, and it's what I'm trying to get to right now, because I still live very inauthentically. Sometimes we all do, because I can become indoctrinated with what's out there, right? We're part of a consumer market. And when we're part of a consumer market, unfortunately, we can place people in part of, we can include people, right, in our lives to be part of that consumer market, because there can be that fear, right, of, am I good enough? Right? Am I worth choosing? And that's hard because, I'm in sales. I'm in customer service as well. So every job is a customer service job, right? We're all part of a consumer market. So it doesn't matter what you do. We're all trying to please the customer. And what we have done now with dating, love, marriage, whatever it may be, is we are now trying to create a consumer value where there doesn't need to be one. There just needs to be an authentic value of love, right? And unfortunately, by no fault of anybody, we're dealing with this consumer market inside of romance, inside of just who we are, who we've become. And I tell you, it's very hard to navigate, especially trying to unfuck that out of you. You're trying to reprogram your mind because, for heaven's sake, I mean, look at the way we're taught to love, right? We're taught to love by picking a partner who's going to be your everything. So one person is going to be your business partner. One person is going to be your rock. One person is going to be, and mind you, this is all the same person, but they're just going to be everything. They're going to be your confidant, your best friend. They're going to be your lover. They're going to be the person who nurtures. That's fucking exhausting for that person, right? And I'm guilty of believing that this is what's supposed to happen because this is what was trained of me, right? It's indoctrinated. And I don't think it's anybody's fault that these thoughts are indoctrinated into us. I think that I think that there was good intentions when we had these ideas, right? But these aren't what marriage has always been. We understand that we can't make a human being a communal what's the word I'm looking for, output, right? I can't come home every night and expect one person to be every single thing. I can't expect somebody to be my therapist, to be my best friend, to be this, to be that, to help me be co-responsible. It's just so much pressure, and so it's like fucking insane to think about, right? When you hear somebody say it out loud, it's like, wow, that's pretty intense, right? Because at the end of the day, I just really kind of just I want a friend who I can come home to and snuggle up with and just share my life with, and talk and all these great things, right? There's so much pressure being put on us to have one person, or to put pressures. There's pressures on us to put pressures on other people, right? And it's so unfair. It's an old thought process, and it no longer serves, and it never has served, mind you. It's never served us. And I think that that's a strong reason why we see divorce rates go up. I don't think it has anything to do with modern romance or anything like that. I think it's because we put so much fucking pressure on each other. We put so much pressure on our spouse and or our boyfriends or our girlfriends or whatever they may be, their partners. Whoever we're choosing to have a relationship with, we put so much pressure on them. And it's like, okay, well, this person has put so much pressure on me that they're no longer feeding my needs. And then, that opens up a whole nother can of worms, and that's a whole topic I'm not going to get into today. So with that being said, right, these ideologies on love, right? It's changed the way that I want to love. No longer do I want to love someone and have them be my one and only. Now that doesn't mean I'm built to be monogamous, right? My partner is no longer my best friend, my business partner, the person who has to help me build an empire. They're not that person. Like they're not my therapist. They're not the person I have to run to every time I have a problem. Of course, I'm going to communicate those problems. Say, hey, this is what I'm going through. This is what I'm thinking. Because I am, and now we're going to get into the attachment styles. I am a fearful avoidant. I have a strong fear of intimacy. Doesn't mean that I have a fear of being romantic or a fear of being in a relationship. What that means is that I have a fear of not being chosen. Even though I might already be chosen, I might already be picked, I might already be the captain of the team, right? Even maybe the star player of the franchise. It's hard to be a fearful, avoidant person and then have a relationship where you want to be healthy, right? And if you want to know more about attachment styles, first off, it's something that's relatively new, right? So people might say, well, not a lot of information out there about attachment styles. And then there is a lot of information out there about attachment styles. But again, it's so new that not a lot of people put a lot of stock into it at first, and now it's kind of erupting, right? And I'm sure everybody who's watching this probably has some kind of idea of what an attachment style is. We have fearful attachment styles, avoidant, secure, anxious attachment styles. So what we want to do is, or what I welcome you to do, I'm inviting you to do this. If you don't know what your attachment style is, I want you to go online, because we can find attachment style quizzes, and they're free, right? And they'll give you a pretty good idea. That doesn't mean they're always the most accurate, but it'll give you a pretty good idea of where you're at with your attachment style. And then what that can help you do is that if there's anything that's bothering you, it can give you a good foundation of where to start healing yourself, right? So I'm fearful avoidant, and it's a trauma-based attachment style, right? It's a person who doesn't feel like they're enough, maybe seeking approval, which is me. I'm a perfectionist. In fact, I've tried to record this thing like probably a dozen times, to be honest with you. And I think I actually got it together because I made notes this time, right? But, when we're talking about the fearful attachment style, there's so much that goes into it. And again, it's the am I enough? The common theme of the fearful attachment style is am I enough? Right? I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. This person has no reason to choose me, whatever. And there are insecurities that come out that you don't even know, right? And they're not based on personality insecurities, right? I'm actually a very secure man. I'm a pretty successful man. The problem is that when I enter a relationship with anyone, suddenly I find myself being the traumatized child again, right? And that's neither here nor there. I'm not placing blame on anybody. I don't think that, I don't think being traumatized is the worst thing in the world because it's something that we can work past. It's just that now I get to understand that there are still traumas in there that need to come out, right? They need to be healed. It's more shadow work. And we should never be afraid to do shadow work. It's not scary. For whatever reason, meme pop psychology has made shadow work this larger than life task, and it's really not. It's I like to see it as a rescue mission for the inner child, right? It's going back, having the conversation with the ego, because the ego loves to work off of fear, because fear is safe. Fear gives us security. It searches security like right now. Right, so we're looking for security. We're looking for connection right now. It's that instant fear. Like the ego really loves instant self gratification because instant self gratification is a great way to shut down fear. If I'm being satisfied and gratified right now, I have nothing to worry about, right? Because it's in the moment. There's nothing that's going to be bothering me, right? However, with a fearful attachment style, what that's telling me is that because I've faced rejection, because I've not been chosen, because people have changed their mind on me when I thought it was a surefire thing, well, now I had that fear. Somebody enters my life, I'm like, like, oh my God, like I really, really love this person. I really, really love this person. I feel this great, deep connection. I feel they're so valuable to me. They're my... they're wonderful, right? They're not responsible for my happiness, but man, is my life happier with them, right? But then there's the whole aspect of, well, maybe I'm not going to be enough for this person to choose me either because this person hasn't chosen me. Or maybe because I had to pursue this person's approval, this person's acceptance, because when I was young, this person didn't accept me, right? And, that these attachment styles nest into two parts of our brain, right? We got the hippocampus, which is responsible for memories, right? Some fear making, right? But it's the fear brain. What happens is the fear brain starts talking because it wants to start keeping us protected. So, there's an element of insecurity, but there's also a great element of protection that the brain is trying to seek. The brain is trying to seek comfort right now. So it's easier to quit than to be fired, right? So the hippocampus is going to say, well, hey, remember this time this happened, right? And then the amygdala is going to pop in, and that's the fear brain, right? And it just so happens to work hand in hand with the hippocampus. So the amygdala, or the almond-shaped part of the brain, right, is going to pop in. And now we call this the fear brain, but it also does control positive reactions as well, like a reward center as well. So I highly recommend you look into 2-Minute Neuroscience. It has a great piece on the amygdala and the hippocampus, and explains it way more beautifully than I can because I'm not a neuroscience scientist. See, that's how terrible I am, is that I don't even know they're called neuroscientists. I just call them neuroscience. Anyway, so the amygdala is the fear portion of the brain, and it pops up and it says, hey, the hippocampus is right. The place that you want to go, the unknown with this person, it's probably going to hurt you. It's probably going to beat you up. there's going to be some bangers there. You're going to get, and not the good kind, we're not going to be listening to some good jams. We're going to get smacked around a little bit. And do you really want to go through that? Is this worth your time? Well, then if you got two fearful avoidant people, that's the narrative that's happening. Are you sure you want to do this? Because this person's going to probably abuse you the same way this person abused you, because that's what people do. Not true. Right? Even two fearful avoidant people can overcome their fearful avoidancy and then become healthy together. And that's my pursuit right now, is to overcome my fearful avoidance, because it's not fair. It's not fair to a partner to have to deal with that. It's not fair to me. More importantly, I know it's going to sound ultra selfish, but when I think of this stuff, I think about myself, because I am the captain of the ship and I am trying to navigate, right? And when I am navigating against the current, all it's going to be is turbulence, right? It's just always going to be turbulence. I'm always going to have some kind of inner conflict, and that's just something I want to do away with, right? Inner challenge, beautiful. Inner conflict, not so much, right? It's tiresome. So with that being said, I'm sharing this portion of myself with you because I think that if there's something that you can learn from me, awesome, right? If there's something that you can avoid because I felt the pain from it, awesome, right? And we don't want to do it in a fearful way or in a cautious way. We want to do it in an incredibly knowledgeable way, right? Because when we have knowledge, we have power. But it's just the potential for power. It's not until we actually put the principles into practice that these things become valuable, right? So, again, if you can learn your attachment style, it's a great foundation of where to start building, right? And again, the foundation is the most important thing to anything. Any relationship has to have the strong foundation. We know this, right? If you build a beautiful foundation with somebody, you can start framing up the rest of the house. And if it doesn't jive, that part you can knock down. Once you set that foundation, if you lay down a shit foundation, it's going to be so hard, right? And eventually it's going to collapse. That's what happens, right? So think about these things. Beautiful foundations bring beautiful houses. Piss poor foundations bring piss poor structures. It's that simple, right? And I'm trying to build a beautiful foundation, right? I'm a beautiful human being. I'm a beautiful mess. I am a messy, messy person. Just a major mess of a man, right? And that's not a bad thing. That's not a negative trait. Hearing it sounds pretty fucking negative. Oh, I'm a mess. I'm a mess. It sounds terrible, right? But if you really look at it and you say, oh, I'm a mess, I think 1,000 miles a minute, right? I'm a mess, Sometimes I can't get one thing accomplished. Yeah, it sounds pretty negative. But if you say, I'm a mess, but you know what? I can do it. I can do all this stuff. Whatever task you assign to me, I'm going to do, and I'm going to do beautifully. I'm going to do it with love in my heart and great conviction. Well, is that ugly? No. It's wonderful, right? Because I'm a mess, and it's okay. Humans are messy, right? Like that's really what we are. We're all messes. We're all great big messes. But we just don't want to admit it, because then, well, heaven forbid that if we admit we're a mess, well, where does that put us? Right? So, with that being said, I invite you to research what your attachment style is, find that foundation of where to start healing, and, you are already beautiful. You're already fantastically made, and you are already wonderful. So, remember that, because at the end of the day, it starts with you. At the beginning of the day, it starts with you. And everything else is an external event, right? So let's make these external events beautiful, because you're beautiful and we deserve to have beautiful moments together. On that note, I'm going to quit talking because I'm about 25 minutes, and that's probably about 15 minutes too long because my ADHD brain likes to go crazy, right? So hopefully you learned something. Hopefully this is a great place for you to start, and hopefully next time I do one of these, I will have more structure. Probably not. Don't expect any structure from me if you're going to watch these things, because whoo, I am so good at being off topic. So with that being said, again, my name's Chris. I'm the authority of zero. The authority, wait, no, hold on. My name is Chris. I am the authority on zero, right? And I'm a beautiful mess. And I love you. So thank you for watching this. And I hope you learned something. And until next time, I'll see you later.